Welcome back to Cooking with Suzanne. I want to share with you another dish that we prepared at the restaurant using goat cheese. We had a wonderful farm very close to us, lively run goat dairy farm that made beautiful cheeses and still does today. So we're going to prepare a wonderful crostini with mushrooms and goat cheese. And before we get started, I just want to talk about the mushrooms. Unfortunately, all I was able to get were some cremini mushrooms. At the restaurant, we always did this with a wonderful variety of wild mushrooms, whether it be hen of the wood mushrooms, chanterelle mushrooms. So all I do is just clean the mushroom with a damp paper towel, and then I just take the stem right up, cut it off right here so you can keep part of the stem intact. And just take your knife and go ahead and slice your mushrooms. And it's really nice to get all of your ingredients ready before you get started. For a full recipe, it would be a pound of mushrooms. So here I have the cremini mushrooms. Also, for a full recipe would be a half a cup of sliced shallots. I have a quarter of a cup of Madeira wine. You can use Marsala wine, you can use cognac, but today we're using Madeira. Some fresh thyme, and about a good 2 teaspoons to a tablespoon of fresh thyme for a full recipe. A half a cup, or actually for a full recipe it'd be 1 cup of chicken stock and a half a cup of heavy cream. We're going to finish it off with a little bit of heavy cream to add some richness to the dish. We're going to get ready to saute our mushrooms. I have it on high. And I start off with just a little bit of grapeseed oil. You just kind of rotate it around so that there's just a nice glaze on the bottom. There's very, very little oil in your pan right now. And once the pan is nice and hot, that's when we will add our mushrooms. And it is nice and hot right now. And you will be able to hear it as soon as you put your mushrooms in the pan. It's also very important to use the right size pan. If you see here, you can't overcrowd. If you have too many mushrooms in the pan, or if your pan is too small, what'll happen is it'll start to sweat instead of saute, and you really want this to saute. So you don't want to move it around. You want to wait until it can get to start to caramelize a little bit. And the way to caramelize it is by adding a little bit of unsalted butter. And you're just going to go in and put a few pieces of unsalted butter down the side of the pan. But we're just going to wait a little bit here. You can hear it cooking. I'm not seasoning it right now. If I added salt to these mushrooms right now, it would end up drawing out the water in the mushroom too fast. And we're really looking to caramelize these mushrooms. We're not looking to sweat them. This we do want some nice caramelization. So just take your butter. This is nice room temperature butter. And just go down around the side of your pan. There we go. One more piece to do it. Our next ingredient after this caramelizes will be that we're going to add our shallots and our fresh thyme that we have here. Okay. So we need to still wait until it starts to really have a little more action. I don't want to budge the mushrooms yet. It's not time yet. Starting to brown nicely, but we still need to be a little bit patient. We're not there yet. Okay, you see that there? You see how it's starting to turn? That's what you're looking to do, is really caramelize your mushrooms. And now they are starting. Look how beautiful they are now. You see that beautiful caramelization? That's what you're looking for. And it's finally getting there. It's looking lovely. You'll get a lot more depth out of the mushroom if you're a little patient with it. rather than trying to cook them too fast. And now what we can do is we can add our shallots right on top. And the shallots need to cook nicely too. These are thinly sliced. You can hear it. That's the water coming out of the shallot that you're hearing there right now. And we can also add some beautiful fresh thyme. Okay, beautiful. So you just want to cook the shallots for a couple of minutes. Okay, so now what we will do is we're going to add our Madeira wine, which is right here. So for a full recipe, you'd use 1/4 cup. Here I only have a couple tablespoons. This is just a half a recipe. So if you did have a pound of mushrooms, what you would do is you would cook your half a pound like I am here. Take them and put them on a tray. Don't add your shallots. Do your other half a pound of mushrooms the exact same way. When they're done, you can put your other half back in and then start cooking with your shallots. Okay, so here's our Madeira wine. You want to back away? There we go. There's not enough Madeira to actually, there we go. Those look beautiful. All of the alcohol is gone, obviously, you can see it. So now you want to add your stock. And you want to reduce your stock by 50%. So we'll turn this down a little bit and let this reduce. And in the meantime, we'll talk about our crostini. I'm just going to turn this down to medium and let this reduce a little bit, and we can talk about our crostini. So in regard to the bread, you can either use, you could use a nice brioche and make this very elegant, or I just have this ciabatta, so we're going to use the ciabatta and we'll make it a little more rustic. So I sprayed a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. You can either do this on the grill, on a grill pan on the stove. You could do it under your broiler, whichever is easier for you. I just have a small saute pan back here, which I'm going to raise to high. And I'll use the saute pan just to brown both sides of the ciabatta. So let me just get a little bit of oil on both sides. This is extra virgin olive oil. You can also use a little bit of kosher salt to season your bread slightly. And then when it comes off the pan, off the heat, we can rub it with just a little bit of garlic. I don't want to add garlic to the mushrooms, but a nice little bit of garlic here on the ciabatta would be nice. If I were using brioche, however, I wouldn't use extra virgin olive oil. I would use butter, and I would brown both sides, and I would not add garlic. I would make it more elegant, and I definitely would not put garlic there. Okay, so this is reducing beautifully. And I'm going to just get our bread on the stove. And once this is reduced by about 50%, which I think we are almost there, if not already, I'm going to add our heavy cream. So this is just 1/4 cup, but a full recipe would be 1/2 cup. So now is a good time to actually season the mushrooms before I even add the cream. And you can, with just 1/2 recipe, I'm just going to put in about 1/2 teaspoon of kosher salt. And we can even put a little bit of black pepper now. This looks great. And we'll add our heavy cream. I would say that this is even better when you can have a variety of herbs going into the mushrooms. I only have parsley. It's all that I could get. But if I had chervil coming out of the garden and some fresh chives, I would definitely be putting it here. Mushrooms and tarragon also taste beautiful together. So if you have any fresh tarragon coming out of your garden, this would be a good time to use it as well. A couple of tablespoons, actually you could really use a tablespoon of each of these herbs to go into a full pound of mushrooms to really give some nice big flavor. Our bread is ready, it looks wonderful. It's nice and toasted. Nice, looks good. Okay. Oh, and this looks really nice too. I think this is perfect. We are there. So let's just get our plates and come on over. Okay. Here we go. And Bob's going to talk to us about what will go so well with this dish.
Suzanne, or Chef, that's exactly right. My name is Bob, I'm the wine director, and pleasure to see you back here. So I brought my wine with me. What I've selected is a Pinot Noir. You probably all know what Pinot Noir is, and it is one of the more historic and popular grapes in the world, right? Burgundy is a Pinot Noir, Burgundy being probably the most famous wine region once again in the world.
I'm just going to show you that I'm taking some goat cheese and I'm going to kind of slather it very nicely on our bread. Okay, before we put the mushrooms on top.
And so it is indeed made in a variety of different places, right? In addition to France, Oregon does a lot of Pinots, California does a lot of Pinots, and also, as you all know, our favorite wine region, the Finger Lakes. So I've selected a Finger Lakes Pinot 2012. If you've seen another video, I talked about years in the Finger Lakes, especially with regards to reds. Because reds do need heat in order to get enough sugar to turn it into alcohol, that whole process, the years that do have a great amount or a good amount of heat are generally the best years for Finger Lake Reds. 2012 was one of those years. More recently, 2016 was a really good year. So if you see those years, I think you can pretty much be assured that you're going to get a really nice, full Pinot. The Pinot goes well because mushrooms are earthy, they're meaty, they really... Oh,
Yeah, I just have to grab a spoon.
they really have a flavor profile that beckons a nice red, but not a huge red, not a Cabernet or Zinfandel or anything like that. I would suggest a medium-bodied Pinot, which is why I've selected this. Some Pinots are very, very light. They're nice and they're elite and sophisticated, and I think with the right food, they're wonderful. But I prefer a medium-bodied Pinot. This Pinot does have that from Damiani. It's their Sunrise Hill Vineyard, and I think it'll be lovely together. So,
yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to this. So, a wonderful gal in the Finger Lakes, Hillary Niver Johnson, who has a business in the Finger Lakes, Wine Flower, requested for me to prepare a dish using mushrooms. So, Hillary, I hope this meets your criteria. I hope this is what you had in mind, because I am truly looking forward to this. This looks really delicious.
if you have enough of these,
And
they can be a meal.
and if you would just pop over and give a nice close-up here of our beautiful dish. There we go.
Okay, I'll show you the wine as well.
Yes.
Damiani Pinot Noir, 2012,
You could even
Sunrise Hill.
nestle in a little bit of goat cheese right on the top.
Not Nestle's, Nestle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right on the
Nice-
top. And
nice
then
word.
if you had some beautiful chives, this would be a really good, we'll take a little bit of the parsley, but some chives right on top. And there you have it. So thanks so much, everyone. Here is our wonderful goat cheese and mushroom crostini.